South Korea's journey from devastation to prosperity is one of the most astonishing transformations of the 20th and 21st centuries. Few nations have risen so rapidly from the ashes of war to become a global economic powerhouse. Once synonymous with poverty and instability, South Korea is now a symbol of innovation, technology, and dynamic capitalism. Its economy is one of the most advanced in the world, with world-renowned brands, cutting-edge industries, and a highly educated population. But this transformation was not a miracle. It was the result of calculated policy, relentless ambition, national sacrifice, and unwavering resilience. In this comprehensive account, we explore how South Korea became a major economic power, starting from its turbulent past and continuing to its present-day achievements and future ambitions. To understand South Korea's economic ascent, we must start with the historical backdrop. In the aftermath of World War II, the Korean peninsula was divided along the 38th parallel, with the Soviet Union occupying the north and the United States administering the south. This division ultimately led to the Korean War in 1950, a brutal conflict that left the South Korean economy shattered. Cities were reduced to rubble, transportation networks destroyed, and millions were killed or displaced. South Korea's GDP per capita in the early 1950s was on par with the poorest countries in the world, such as Ethiopia and Sudan. There were almost no natural resources, agriculture was rudimentary, and industrial capacity was minimal. The Korean War officially ended in 1953 with an armistice rather than a peace treaty, leaving the country technically still at war. Foreign aid became the lifeline of the South Korean economy in the 1950s. The United States provided massive amounts of economic assistance to help rebuild the country. And while this aid was essential for survival, it was not a long-term solution. Dependency on foreign donations was unsustainable, and South Korea's leaders knew they had to create a self-sufficient and competitive economy. That realization set the stage for one of the most ambitious and tightly managed economic transformations in modern history. The real turning point came in 1961, when General Park Chung-hee seized power through a military coup. Although his rule was authoritarian and at times repressive, his leadership marked the beginning of South Korea's rapid industrialization. Park implemented a series of 5-year economic development plans that prioritized national modernization, industrialization, and export-led growth. The government took an active role in directing resources to sectors that had the potential to generate foreign exchange earnings. Heavy industry, manufacturing, and infrastructure were at the center of this vision. Rather than pursue an inward-looking or import substitution strategy like many other developing countries, South Korea made a bold pivot to export-oriented industrialization. This meant producing goods for global markets, not just domestic consumption. The rationale was that foreign demand could create the scale needed to fuel industrial growth and job creation. This strategy proved prescient. With support from government credit, incentives, and infrastructure investment, South Korean firms began manufacturing simple products like textiles, shoes, wigs, and radios. These products were exported primarily to the United States, Japan, and Western Europe. To ensure that private enterprise aligned with national goals, the government fostered the creation of chaebols, large, family-run industrial conglomerates. Companies like Samsung, Hyundai, LG, and Daewoo were given preferential access to capital, land, and permits in exchange for meeting government-directed export and performance targets. These firms were expected to scale quickly, diversify, and compete globally. While the cable model led to concerns about monopoly and nepotism in later years, it undeniably laid the foundation for South Korea's industrial strength. The 1970s marked the beginning of heavy and chemical industrialization. The government directed investment into steel, shipbuilding, petrochemicals, and automotive production. POSCO, the national steel company, was built from scratch and soon became one of the most efficient steel producers in the world. Hyundai Shipbuilding, with massive government support, quickly emerged as a global leader in the maritime industry. These heavy industries not only created jobs, but also stimulated a wide array of supporting industries, from construction and engineering to parts suppliers and logistics. Meanwhile, South Korea began to build a robust education system to support its growing economy. Investment in primary, secondary, and higher education increased rapidly. The literacy rate soared, and a new generation of engineers, technicians, and managers emerged. Technical high schools and vocational training institutions were established to provide the skilled labor needed for industrial growth. The emphasis on math and science education in particular prepared South Korea to enter high-tech industries in later decades. In the 1980s, South Korea entered a new phase of development, transitioning from low-cost manufacturing to higher value-added industries. Automobiles, consumer electronics, and semiconductors began to replace garments and toys as the country's main exports. Hyundai, Kia, and Daewoo began producing cars not only for the domestic market but for North America and Europe. Samsung and LG moved beyond simple electronics into televisions, microwaves, and eventually computer chips. In 1983, Samsung invested heavily in semiconductor production, a decision that would later position it as a global leader in memory chips and smartphone technology. With industrial and technological progress came rising incomes and urbanization. Cities like Seoul, Busan, and Incheon expanded rapidly. High-rise apartments, subways, expressways, and modern telecommunications reshaped the urban landscape. A new middle class emerged, characterized by homeownership, consumer spending, and educational ambition. South Korea's GDP grew at an average annual rate of over 8% during this period, earning it a reputation as one of the 4 Asian tigers alongside Taiwan, Hong Kong, and Singapore. However, political change was also underway. South Korea's authoritarian system came under increasing pressure in the 1980s. Mass protests, labor strikes, and student demonstrations culminated in the 1987 June Democratic Uprising, which forced the ruling regime to allow direct presidential elections. This was a turning point in Korean politics. The transition to democracy brought greater transparency, improved governance, and more robust civil society. It also provided a more stable and credible environment for both domestic and international investors. By the 1990s, South Korea had become a full-fledged member of the global economy. It joined the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, in 1996, signaling its arrival as a high-income nation. But this success was soon tested by the Asian financial crisis of 1997-1998. A wave of corporate and banking failures led to a severe economic contraction. The country had to accept a $58 billion bailout package from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the largest ever at the time. The crisis exposed the weaknesses of over-leveraged chaebols and fragile financial institutions. Despite the turmoil, the crisis prompted deep structural reforms. The government undertook corporate restructuring, banking consolidation, and regulatory overhaul. Transparency, accountability, and international financial standards were emphasized. Many chaebols were forced to divest non-core assets, adopt modern accounting practices, and improve governance. The country also liberalized its capital markets, strengthened labor protections, and improved social safety nets. The 2000s saw South Korea emerge stronger and more competitive than ever. It began investing heavily in research and development, particularly in IT, biotechnology, and renewable energy. Broadband internet infrastructure was rapidly deployed nationwide, making South Korea the most connected country in the world. The government launched initiatives like I-839 to promote next-generation technology sectors. Samsung became the world's largest producer of memory chips and smartphones. Hyundai and Kia built advanced manufacturing facilities around the globe. South Korean universities, including KAIST and POWERHOUSE, gained international recognition for scientific research. At the same time, South Korea's soft power began to rise through its cultural exports. The Korean wave, or Hallyu, swept across Asia and eventually the world. K-pop, K-dramas, Korean cinema, and beauty products gained massive global followings. This cultural expansion created new markets for South Korean products and services, boosted tourism, and reshaped global perceptions of the country. The Oscar win of Parasite and the Grammy nominations for BTS were symbols of this new global influence. South Korea also expanded its diplomatic and trade relationships. It signed free trade agreements with the United States, the European Union, China, and ASEAN countries. It became an active participant in international organizations and forums, including the G20. The Korean model of development, a blend of strong institutions, export-led growth, and state-guided capitalism, became a reference point for many emerging economies. Despite its remarkable success, South Korea faces critical challenges today. Demographically, the country has the lowest fertility rate in the world, raising concerns about labor shortages, pension burdens, and generational imbalances. The population is aging rapidly, with over 20% expected to be 65 or older by 2030. Economic inequality is rising, with younger generations struggling to afford housing and access secure employment. The rigid education system and intense academic competition have led to social stress and mental health issues. There are also structural economic issues. The chaebol still dominate key sectors, limiting opportunities for small and medium enterprises, SMEs, to grow. Regulatory complexity, risk aversion, and a conservative banking system can stifle entrepreneurship and innovation. Moreover, geopolitical risks remain ever present. The unresolved conflict with North Korea, periodic missile tests, and military tensions continue to affect investor sentiment and national security. Yet, South Korea continues to evolve. The government has launched ambitious programs like the Korean New Deal, aimed at transforming the economy through digitalization and green innovation. Investments in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, clean hydrogen, and smart manufacturing are reshaping the country's industrial base. Startups in fintech, gaming, biotech, and mobility are gaining ground. Policies to increase women's participation in the workforce and reform education are also gaining momentum. In recent years, South Korea has also demonstrated global leadership in public health, environmental policy, and digital governance. Its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, involving rapid testing, contact tracing, and public compliance, was lauded internationally. The country continues to punch above its weight in diplomacy, peacekeeping, and development aid. It has transitioned from an aid recipient to a significant donor, sharing its expertise with developing nations across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Today, South Korea ranks among the top 15 economies in the world by nominal GDP. It is the fifth largest exporter globally, and its brands are household names across continents. The country boasts some of the highest rates of broadband penetration, patent filings, and tertiary education. It is a leader in semiconductors, 5G, electric vehicle batteries, and digital entertainment. From near-total devastation in the 1950s to the global stage in the 2020s, South Korea's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. This transformation was not a miracle. It was the outcome of deliberate choices, strategic foresight, and national determination. It proves that even countries with limited resources, if guided by effective leadership, sound policy, and a committed population, can achieve prosperity and global relevance. As South Korea continues to navigate the complex challenges of the modern era, its past offers valuable lessons for nations seeking to build a better future.